Okay, hello, my dear friends. Today I am going to be doing a demonstration on starting our still life drawings. So are my still life items. I have this lovely plastic skull that I got at the dollar store, and this lovely red vase that I also got at the dollar store. So I'm just going to set them up on my table in front of me. So each table is going to have their own setup of this, and I'll move the camera over here so you can see what my setup is. All right, it's just the skull and the vase next to one another on the table. All right, here I also have my piece of paper, eraser, and pencil. So this is how I'm going to start this off. All right, so I'm going to start off with the tallest thing, which is going to be the vase. And this is the size paper I'm using, and I want to make sure that I am really using the full size of this paper. Since the vase is tall, I'm not going to start it down here. I'm going to start it up here, and we'll start with the very top of it, with the opening of the vase here. And I'm just very lightly sketching. Very lightly, because I want to make sure that if I need to erase it, if I make a mistake, I can. I'm actually sketching a little bit harder than I normally would, just so it's easier to see on there. So I'm just working on the opening of this vase. And as of right now, I'm not concerned about the color or the shading or anything like that. I'm just doing the outline of the sketch. So the next thing is the base of this vase. So it starts a little thicker at the top, and then I'm going to bring it in just a little bit. Try to make it even on both sides. Sketch down. Okay, and then it starts to come out and is a more rounded shape at the bottom. So it's going to come out on both sides. And I'm trying to make it pretty even and pretty symmetrical, because it is even and symmetrical, as I see in front of me. A still life is a really, really good way to practice your art skills. To draw from a real life reference that's in front of you can be difficult, and a still life is a perfect way to practice that. Okay, and I'm going to end it somewhere down here. So now I'm going to look at it straight on and just kind of make sure that I have it nice and even on both sides. So this side kind of comes out a little bit more. So I'm going to fix that so that it comes out equally on the same side. That's better. Erase that old line. Now it's more even. So this vase also has lines on it as well, so I'm going to draw those lines too. It kind of has lines going down the vase to the bottom. It's like these ridges that this vase has. And I'm going to make a few of those ridges down the length of the bottle. And the ridges kind of follow the curve of the side that it's on. So we're just gonna do that as well. Okay. And then I can faintly see the inside of the bottle, since the bottle is like a clear red, so I'm gonna add that in there too. All right, so now I have this bottle and it is sketched. Voila, and you can look at it so you can see, and this is the bottle. So we have pretty similar, which is great. So now I am going to draw my second object. So I want to always draw the taller one first, so that I know, the size of the page that I'm using and how much I'm going to use, and B, because it's easier to line up where the two objects are. So I can see that the skull goes about halfway up at its highest point to where the vase is. So about halfway of the vase is the top part of where the skull is. So the skull is going to be a little bit more difficult to sketch out because the shape is a little harder. but that's okay. So it's the cheekbone of the skull is kind of touching the vase, maybe going a little bit in front of it. So I'm going to make sure that that happens. And then the bottom of where the skull is goes in front of where the vase is. So it's a little bit further down. All right, so I'm just finishing up the top part of the skull. Again, sketching lightly, taking my time with it. I really don't want to do harsh lines for this, or hard lines. If you notice the way that I'm sketching, it's kind of many little lines instead of one harsh line. What this does is it helps me get the right shape. It really helps me get the right shape. Now I'm going to take this, there's a little bit of a bump here and a second bump for the cheekbone, and I'm going to take this now down to meet the rest of the jaw at the bottom here. Okay, now just a little bit of details for now, because most of the details are going to be done with shading. So I'm just going to put kind of ridges and lines where I see them, the eyes where I see them, excuse me, the nose where I see it, and so on, because a lot of this is going to be done with shading. So really just simple stuff. It's going to look pretty weird when I'm done with it because it's not shaded. So it's not going to look realistic just yet. It's going to look a little strange, and that's okay as well, because it's really the shading that does the most for our drawings. And it makes it look the most realistic. It makes it pop out. And you guys have done shading before for different things. This is really just taking that to the next level and doing it with something from real life, something that you have in front of you that you are looking at in real life and trying to get that. So as you can see, it's already, looking a little strange. And again, that's totally fine because it is not yet shaded. I'm just kind of marking off some of the parts that are going to be shaded to make it a little easier for me here. It's a very strange looking skull guy we got going on here. All right, and then I'm just gonna do the mouth part. And at this point, it's really going to be imperfect, which is okay. We are not looking for perfection. We are trying our best to do the best we can with the shading. And that is really that. This is like the gums of the skelly. And then I'm going to connect it to the bottom part of the teeth. This way. And again here, it's not going to be perfect. So each of these is kind of like where a tooth goes. And I'm just going to kind of do my best to get some of them in there right now. The skeleton has some pretty perfect teeth. If you don't get all of the teeth of the skeleton, that is okay as well. I am not counting the teeth that I'm doing right now. I'm not counting them. I'm just trying to get kind of like a general amount in there. And then I'm going to do the bottom ones. Not perfectly. Just making sure we get them in there. Okay. Now for mine, the teeth of my skeleton ended up more open than the ones that are on there. So I might go back and rework that. But for right now, I'm just going to kind of leave it as is, because this is really just to show you guys how to get started on this. Okay, so for now, I am done with the sketch of this. The next step would be for me to go in, rework the teeth, because I definitely want to fix those, and then to start to shade. So for now, we have the sketch in there and we're good. And we want to make sure the sketch is exactly what we see. I'm actually going to mark off where the shadows are underneath, because it's just going to be so much easier for us to add the proper colors if it is shaded the way that we see it. So we're going to start here. This might take us a couple of classes to actually get the proper sketch in there. You're going to need to erase a few times. I know I only erased like once or twice during this, but again, I'm going to rework the teeth. I'm not perfect either. It takes me a couple tries to do things too. So if that happens to you, don't worry about it. If you have frustrations when you are drawing, don't worry about it. As long as you are trying, you are going to be able to do it, all right? I want to remind you that I would not give you something that I didn't think that you were able to do, so please just try your best. If you get a little bit frustrated, take a break for a minute, erase, and go back to it.